just a friendly announcement. This is not an AA meeting. This is just one member's view on the exact nature of the wrong as described on page 64 of the big book and the solutions contained within. This is not an all-share meeting, though shares there will be, but actually a question and answer meeting with Paul. And I have chosen today to read from page 25. Just one moment, please. Sorry, that was my cat. Okay. There is a solution. Almost none of us liked the self-searching, the leveling of our pride, the confession of shortcomings which the process requires for its successful consummation. But we saw that it really worked in others, and we had come to believe in the hopelessness and futility of life as we had been living it. When, therefore, we were approached by those in whom the problem had been solved, there was nothing left for us but to pick up the simple kit of spiritual tools laid at our feet. We have found much of heaven, and we have been rocketed into a fourth dimension of existence of which we had not even dreamed. The great fact is just this and nothing less, that we have had deep and effective spiritual experiences which have revolutionized our whole attitude toward life, toward our fellows, and toward God's universe. The central fact of our lives today is the absolute certainty that our Creator has entered into our hearts and lives in a way which is indeed miraculous. He has commenced to accomplish those things for us which we could never do by ourselves. Here I stop. I can also still move on, but I choose something short today.
No, we can stay there. But yeah, there is a solution. Stay there for a while. Yeah. And almost none of us like the self-searching. So to me, when I hear self-searching, I'm searching about I'm searching for knowledge of a foreign nature. I truly believe there's movements in us that are not of us. And I see them as parasitical movements, and I see alcoholism as a parasitical movement. Yeah, but really the alcoholism is actually a reaction to the original addiction, which is the addiction to self. Yeah. So the head, I'm not saying you're addicted to self. You're not. The head is addicted to self, and we listen to the head as if it's us. Yeah. So then we seem to be addicted to self, but it's not true. There's an addiction to self that's not of us. Yeah. Yeah. And because many of us have been freed from that addiction. We have, to a certain level, where it's not producing the effects it used to produce in our life, like terrible, incomprehensible, pitiful demoralization. So its influence on us has severely been weakened by what? By the recognition that it's not us, I hope. Yeah. And so when it says there is a solution, almost none of us like the self-searching, especially when you think yourself. Yes. I think this is the reason why you're willing and very capable of doing inventories, like flash inventories of everyone you meet, as long as they're not you. But when it comes to anything about you, it's difficult to take a look. Yeah. Now, what would make that easier is you're not looking at you. You're looking at self as a foreign installment, let's say. Yeah. So then at that point, you can actually do a fearless and thorough inventory, because you're probably not going to do a fearless and thorough inventory if you're that which is being inventoried. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of blind spots, and you're gonna need like a sponsor hovering over you every second, in a sense, because you're going to be listening to a lot of shit. So the fearless and thorough inventory was only available when I saw this was foreign to me. So when it says this process of let me see, the leveling, oh yeah, the self-searching. How do we start the self-searching? It's a good thing to look at it at the fourth column of the inventory if you do it or you've done it. And you have now come to the recognition of your role in things to some level, and you're going to see self's role in things, obviously. It means if you have the understanding in place, it's going to trigger a vision of it. It is, yeah? That's what this is what's been lacking. No one told us it may not be us, yeah? So therefore, we lived with very limited possibilities, defined by the problem itself, yeah? So we were trying to get out of self as self, and it doesn't mind signing up for a whole lifetime of getting out of self as self. It doesn't, yeah, it still has a dominant influence on us. It does. Its treatment may change, but the hierarchy hasn't changed. Yeah, yeah. So when you entertain the idea it's not you, you can do a fearless inventory. I do fearless inventories on other people all day. Yeah. I'm not holding back anything because it's not about me. Yeah. So in this case, you're having the same spirit when you're looking at the inventory. You're seeing it's not about you. Yeah. This is one of the big thrusts of these meetings is we're saying do the steps as you were told to do in a way. Look at your role in things. And then just don't stop there, because maybe look at what else's role is in there. And maybe you're going to see truly the exact nature of the wrong as foreign to you and be convinced that self manifested in various ways is what has defeated us. That's the point. Yeah. This is a requirement. Yeah. The requirement is being convinced. It means to believe with certainty that what? Self manifested in various ways is what has defeated us. Are you convinced of that? Or do you think it's still you or someone else did it, or your parents or your upbringing or your family of origin from Mars or somewhere else? Yeah. Or have you made let's say, a humble possibility that something is in me which is not of me and it is defeating me? Yeah. And now I'm going to look at its what? Common manifestations, because this is how it defeated me. Yeah. It defeated me through its manifestations. How did that happen? Well, you know, the defeat is much more severe when a resentment is yours, and when the fear is yours, and when the harming other people is completely yours. It has a wallop, yes? It does. My resentment has a different effect than resentment. Incredible. If you had like a meter to gauge effect, my resentment is going to have a much longer lasting, much more severe, much more adhesive bondage to the idea of my resentment than a resentment. Yeah. And my fear, unbelievable. Yeah. It's incredible. Yeah. So fear, my fear, completely different. Resentment, my resentment, completely different. Being driven to do these behaviors that I stepped on other people's toes is completely different than I stepped on all these other people's toes. Yes? Completely different. If it was you stepping on other people's toes, what was the strategy in most of your life? To avoid it, wasn't it? To deny it, to avoid it. Yeah, I never wanted to be brought up to into that light, because it was unbearable to think I'm such a fucking asshole, let's say. Yeah. But what would happen if you recognize what it says, how it feels like to be under this bondage, and it's how it's described in the book? You were driven. Yeah. You were driven by 100 forms of something. That completely negates the idea that you're the driver. Yeah. You made decisions based on self. Let's forget the you made. Let's just say decisions were made based on self that put us in a position to be hurt. And then we had these misfortunes and we felt we didn't deserve them. Yeah. It goes deeper than alcohol and drugs. The same thing is in the other presentation of non-duality. We're listening to a story that we're something that we're not, literally. Yeah. And without seeing that, all your corrections are never going to really correct anything, because the basic mistake is thriving in your attempts to correct everything. Yeah. So you got to get back to the exact nature of the wrong and the underlying causes and conditions. You have to. If you just keep pruning the leaves, yeah, that's going to be just a very high level of, you constantly have to manage and control something. You're going to have to be an expert with skillful means, because you're going to be uncomfortable, irritable, and restless a lot. Yeah. But what would, if you got to the source of stuff? Yeah. One of the greatest things about skillful means is not to use them. Yes. You don't need them anymore. Hallelujah. I love doing, what I love about inventories, it leads you not to have to do as many inventories. Yeah. If you don't act out on the shit and you bring it to 6 and 7, you don't do 8 or 9. You don't have a list of all these amends you have to make, because you haven't fucked anyone over, in a sense. Yeah. I'm not sitting here planning someone else's demise. I don't get excited about the downfall of others. I just don't. It's, you know, you can change to the point that a lot of the work you thought you had to do, you don't have to do anymore. Yeah. If the problem doesn't exist for you, that causes a lot of the shit that you used to have to do as a form of maintenance not to be necessary anymore. Now you're on a certain sense of being as maintenance instead of doing as maintenance. Yeah. You're being the condition you were trying to do yourself into before. You're being it now. Yeah. The doing is over. And actually, the doing at that point is a disservice. Yeah. It's like we had a guy from England that was here, and we were talking about relieve us from the bondage of self. And he would say that prayer every day. And we were talking about in a weird way, how prayer gets misused by the head. Yeah. So he was praying, please relieve me of the bondage of self. Yet it was overriding the fact that he had been relieved of the bondage of self. He was at that moment in the relief from the bondage of self, and praying for that relief was disguising that. Yeah. His wanting to be in that condition was disguising that he was already in the condition. This is not a phantom phenomena. It's a pattern. Yes. A lot of things we're trying to pray to be undone have been undone. Yeah. You're praying them to be undone is reinforcing the lie that they're still doing. Yes. Without any thought or effort. Without any thought or effort, the problem does not exist for us. That's incredible. Yeah. What condition that you think you had a lot to do with, yeah, doesn't demand thought and effort? What? You tell me, what fucking yogic posture doesn't demand thought or effort? Yeah. What mindfulness exercise doesn't demand thought or effort? Yeah. Yet it's saying here, the problem will not exist for you. And it did not, this condition was not produced by thought or effort. Yes? That's on a different level of solution, don't you think? And don't you think when you read the book, when you get to around 84, they're talking about that different plane of the solution? Yeah. You will cease fighting everyone and everything, even alcohol. All this stuff will be going on, and none of it has your name on it. Yeah. Like it says here in that last statement. I may have lost it, where it says we come to realize more and more that something's doing for us what we can't do for ourselves. Yeah. Isn't that the expansion of the understanding of the third step in your life? You admit that you're overmatched, outmatched, and then suddenly you see that you can face life successfully where you couldn't face life successfully before. So something is doing for us what we couldn't do for ourselves. That's like the motto of recovery, yes? So is there a yoga class that says that? All right. Throw the towels away. You don't have to wear the spandex or whatever. No heating it or no pre-thing. Yeah. The condition, you're already in the condition you're trying to sort of posture yourself in. What? Yes. Now do yoga without all this meaning. What happens if I miss the yoga class? The whole fucking day sucks. At that point, is yoga freeing? It seems to be binding. If you don't do it, you feel like you're disqualified from any joy today. That's insane. Yeah, that's insane. It's like, do I know the mail I'm getting every day? No, I don't know the mail I'm getting every day. I go to the mailbox, and a lot of times I'm pleasantly surprised. But I have no idea what the mail is before I get the mail. Yeah, I just go, I do what we do, I receive the downloads, and then there you go. Yeah. And a lot of the downloads may be I need do nothing. So there you go. So then I drive to a thrift store or something. And you can use your seeming defects, like buying unnecessary clothing, and then give them away to people when the winter starts. Wow, not a bad move. In the court of the mental king, you get absolved. What? It's great. So, yes, there is a solution, first and foremost. Yeah. Yeah. And where it goes here. We are unable at certain times to bring into our consciousness with sufficient force the memory of the suffering and humiliation of even a week or a month ago. Why is that? You don't think that's a foreign movement in you? That incapacitates your ability to realize how fucked it's gonna be if I drink and yet drink? Yeah. You think that's you? Why is there a you in you that's fooling you? I mean, how many yous are in there? Yeah. I would say there's something foreign to us that we call me, and it's it's basically, it's very clear that it's not us. Yeah. Yeah. We're not, but it's very clear. It's basically using us for transportation. Yeah. Have you ever seen, you ever hear of a thing called candida? It's a fungus type of thing. A lot of people have it and suffer from it. It's they believe it's actually the source of a lot of sinus infections and a lot of stuff. Yeah. And it's just like fungus that's living in us. Yeah. And it needs, its fuel is like sugar. Yeah. It needs the chemistry of the body to break down the sugar, and that's what it feeds on. Yes. So this candida obviously has an agenda, but it can't go to the bakery. Yeah. It doesn't have any legs. It can't make a call for a delivery. So what does it do? It jacks into our head and convinces us that we love Entenmann's, you know. We love fucking jelly rolls and shit like that. And we may make a huge narrative about I've loved jelly rolls my whole life, all driven by this thing called candida so it can get its fuel. So you may have wrote a book of how much you love bakeries and everything like that, all driven by a fungus in you. Yeah. So you don't think you're driven? You're driven by shit that's living inside you right now. A craving for fucking, let's say, something may not be coming from you. It may be coming from a fucking molecule in you or a fungus in you or some other kind of parasitical thing in you. And they're funny, you know, you look at cordyceps. Yeah, that was one of the first ones I heard about. Cordyceps is a mushroom. And of course, these things like mushrooms and everything have one imperative, which is to reproduce. Yes, that's the big thing. So they have like an umbrella effect with spores inside, sort of protected, but it's a chance. It's a very, the probabilities of it succeeding aren't great. They got something has to brush by it, yeah, or the wind has to blow the spore in the right direction. So the mushroom over time got a better strategy, yeah, which is it lands on a certain insect. In this one species, it lands on ants. It burrows into the ant and jacks into the brain of the ant and starts actually using the ant as transportation and has the ant drive to where it wants to go, where it thinks it's going to live better, which is, let's say, a dark, wet place. Yeah. So now the ant drives it, is driven by it to the place, its destination, and then it kills the ant, and then the mushroom grows right out of the ant's head. Yeah. It sort of sounds like us, where here we are being used for transportation, like they say in Narcotics Anonymous, and we go to 3 basic parking spaces: institution, jails, and death. Yet in this case, we have a narrative that we were the driver of the whole fucking event, which is the greatest fucking disguise for the parasite. Yes? It's the greatest disguise. The parasite can dominate us right out in the open, because wherever it takes us, we have the story that we took us there. Even after 30 years of recovery, you still think you were the doer of that shit that you were compelled to do under the influence. It's insane. Yeah. So the ant gets driven, you get driven to buy the fucking pastry, yeah? And alcoholism drove us, yeah? Drove us to get its fuel, which is alcohol, yes? And it used us for transportation. Yet, our defeat was accompanied by a narrative that we were the one doing all the defeating, or the cops were, or the judge, or this and that. Yes? Isn't that insane? So you get out of jail, everything's been fucked up, and then you're ready to get used again. Yeah, used again. And it doesn't matter what kind of lifestyle you switch into, it adapts to that lifestyle. Yeah, it becomes a recovered self, just like it was an addict self. Yeah, takes a little while, gets the lingo, gets the language, knows how to play the game. Yeah. All the while sucking your electricity to light up its agenda. It's a pretty good apt description, I feel. Yeah. I felt all this stuff. I couldn't put words to it. I couldn't come up with an understanding about it until I got relief from it. Yeah. But now we can describe its little machinations. But always the importance of describing its machinations is to refer back to the exact nature it's foreign to us, foreign to us. You do not hate yourself. You are not your own worst enemy. What's driving you may be your worst enemy. What's driving you may hate you, but you do not. Yes. This is a freedom, seriously, I feel. Profound in its simplicity. It's just a recognition because we've been touched by it constantly, but we always greet it as us somehow. Now we can greet it as something foreign to us. Yeah. And see what works better. Trying to make it a service animal, trying to make it your best friend, trying to rehab it, or maybe just losing interest in the fucker. I would say the latter has worked for me. Yeah. And you will lose interest in it if you see it as not you. You will. It's the idea that it's you is what sucks up the interest and the attention. Yeah. Are you more apt to forgive someone else that did the same thing that you did to someone else than you? Yes, you probably are. Aren't you? You find that you're able to forgive everyone, but you live in an unforgiven state concerning yourself, don't you? In a lot of cases. Yes? The ability to forgive is there, but it's not dealt with when it's you. Yeah? Isn't that curious? Why is it that you can forgive others, but you can't find forgiveness in yourself? Because you're held to a different level. Yeah? Everyone else is a you, and you are a crowned you called me, a special you, me. Yeah. And no matter all those yous, yes, they were stupid, and I can understand, but me should have known better. Yes. Don't you see the insanity of it? I have met people who try to be saintly because they completely believed they were a sinner. Yeah. And then they would have a breakdown. They had like 14 sponsees. They were doing tons of shit, and their life fell apart. Yeah. But on the paper, it looked like saint, 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 really a saint, super saint, great saint. But the girding was not there. Yes. They were trying to get out of something with so much effort, but it was reinforcing the belief they were in it, like they were really fucked up, and they weren't. Yeah. Yeah. So we're here every week until the last breath. I hope. Maybe if I have to be wheeled here, if there's people here, or on a gurney, maybe I'll be on an iron lung. Who knows? We'll just try to sit here in the same space so we can let this loving expression affect us. Maybe not through thought or through appearance, but through intimacy and a sense feltness. Maybe you'll have a readily available ability to enjoy peace of mind. What an incredible gift that is. Yeah. Can you imagine that today a lot of us here have the ability to enjoy peace of mind? It's incredible, literally. Yeah. It's an incredible gift, one of thousands. Yeah. So, all right, we'll open it up.
Anyone has a question, please put your hand up.
Hey, Paul.
Hey.
We haven't spoken in a while. It's so great to come on this meeting and see everybody listen to the sad song. It's great. What you were talking about reminded me of doing this first long pineal gland meditation that I did. So I got to do it. It wasn't that I was trying to get something out of it. I was just enjoying the fact that I get to do it and have the experience, right? And the first time, it was a 5-hour meditation. First time I came out of my body, I caught myself snoring, but I automatically thought it was somebody else. And then I went back in, and as soon as I realized it was me, and then I came out again and I saw myself and I was laughing hysterically. And I was thinking, the thought passed through my like, yeah, now you can really have a good time now that I'm out of my body. So anyways, I have people that accuse me of not feeling enough emotion and giving into the stories of having what I've been going through for many years. And it just doesn't, there's no payoff in it. And I love coming here and hearing the examples of how this foreign interest wants to take control, and to realize it's not me. And I swear to God, I've had so much joy and happiness. My heart has begun to open up in a way that I just like, people go like, how do you do it? I go, I don't know. Go listen to Zen Bitch Slap, or go do something. But whatever you're doing, don't try to do it to try to get something. Just do it because you get to do it. That's been the biggest piece I've got out of this is just go live my life and see what shows up. And it's hilarious to see how I even just a few minutes ago I was buying into the story, and I started to get misty eyed, and I go, wait a minute, that's not the ultimate reality. And the ultimate reality doesn't have self involved in it. And so thank you for mirroring that for us. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, bro. You've been with us the whole time here.
Yeah.
On the little Zoom platform. That's
Yeah.
great. And I met you live, so that was cool.
Yes.
Yeah, great. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, when things doesn't make sense, you want to explain. Everyone wants an explanation and a rationale. You get dumbed down a lot with this. You just sort of, you're here because you're here. It's just that's the fact. And then other things like in Zen, they would say you finally see blue as blue and red as red. Yeah, things just become clear. And I just feel, understandings in a sense are sort of ways to like grab like a rung of a ladder. Yeah. And if there's a sense of being in a hole without something to grab onto, it's difficult to get out. Yeah. And I found in my life, understanding played a role like that. Yeah. It would be, I was in a big hole and I couldn't get out with my own oomph. And then someone would share something and I'd see that there was a branch there that I could grab. Yeah. And I hadn't seen it before, but by them saying it was there for them, I could see it. And then I could grab that and it brought me out a little more. And then I got an understanding, a big one from Joe and Charlie in recovery. And that really helped. I mean, unbelievably helped. Pulled me out because I understood my role in things, the fourth step, the fourth column, which I hadn't done the first time I did the inventory. I didn't get it. I didn't get my resentment towards Wendy. I didn't see my role in it. I thought it was based on her leaving me. That was it. I didn't see my role in the whole thing. And then that opened up a huge closet, or like most of my life was like a storage unit that there was no circulation of anything. It was just dead files that were taking up space, and I was avoiding the rent and the payment for security so let no one see it. And then life just brought me gently through and checked this shit out, and a lot of shit got thrown out. Yes, it was pretty cool. So here we're just putting out an understanding that maybe that which has defeated you is foreign to you. Yeah. And I know the life of an action figure is completely dependent on that you're the doer of stuff, or whose life would it be anyway? So let's not touch that, but let's say that there is a possibility something else can slip in you and be the doer of a lot of stuff. Unbeknownst to the doer of stuff, there may be something else that's doing a lot of stuff. And that something else has a different agenda for the doer of a lot of other stuff. Yeah. And for many of us, it's affecting us as the doer of stuff to a degree that we're in like a incomprehensible, why is this happening, or whatever. Yeah. It seems like there's two teams in me. One wants to go this way, one wants to go that way. And this just brings a little illumination to the situation. And then maybe you can start recognizing what you're not. And in doing that, it's an allegiance to trusting the infinite. Yes. And that's the key. Yeah. Yeah. So you want to believe you're the doer, great. But can you entertain the possibility there could be something in you that's doing through you a lot of shit you would never do by yourself? I would say yes. Yeah. So let that possibility in there. It's not taking away the crown jewel of programming, which is you're the doer. We're just going to look at, is there a possibility something could be doing through you unbeknownst to you as the doer? Yes, I would say so. So a lot of your mental prison wraps are based on its behavior, really. Yeah. And the inability to forgive is based on its behavior. Yes. 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 See, it's hard to forgive if you've done something that you thought you would never do. Yeah. It's difficult. But that's based on that you were the doer of it. This is a way to see through that, which is these insane things that you did, maybe almost habitually, were done by something else. Yeah. So that confoundedness, that completely dumbfoundedness can be overridden by recognizing, yes, you would not and do not do this shit that was done through you. Yeah. That makes fucking sense. It doesn't make sense to me that I did some of these terrible things. It still doesn't. And I think that's why there's a withholding of forgiveness, especially self-forgiveness. I do. But if you could see something drove you to do this shit, and now something else is driving you not to do that shit. Yeah. And maybe get your role more clear that in a lot of situations, you're the driven, not the driver. Yeah. And therefore, the importance when you're the driven is what's driving you. Yes, that's very fucking important. And AA offers the possibility of the old driver, which is trusting finite self, and the new driver, which is trusting the infinite. Yeah. Let's say they're not old or new, they're possibilities at the same time. Yeah. Now, many of us here are in the habit of being driven by the infinite. Yeah. And basically, you come to a conclusion, you've always been driven by the infinite. Truly. Yeah. And a lot of things, a lot of your understanding hierarchy changes quite a lot. Yeah. But yeah, take a look. Do you really believe you chose to do all that shit that you did? Because then you're very similar, because everyone else who was addicted, was in the alcoholism and the addiction, were doing the same fucking things. So it sounds like one driver drove a lot of different cars to the same 3 parking spaces. I don't think a lot of different drivers drove all these different cars to the same 3 parking spaces. I don't. Yeah. I think one driver has driven us to the 3 parking spaces. Check it out. Find out for yourself. But I believe with certainty And the relief is great. It is. The relief is great. I mean, can you imagine being bound to those things that you're incapable of understanding that you were ever possible to do it? Really? The fabric of your existence does not have that in it. And yet you have to constantly mea culpa it because of what something else did through you. Yeah. Yeah. Every time you're in the pursuit of being a good person, you have that bad person in there. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Yeah. What would be an aspect of something, a parasitical thing taking you over? Would it be control? Yes? Control. What does that mean to us? Well, a lot of control isn't noticed, yes? Because it would be unbearable to tell the truth about the control if we didn't think there was any solution. But this paragraph starts with, there is a solution. And this is why you can be fearless about the condition you may find yourself in, because it's not your permanent condition. It can be changed. Yes? Yes. Yes. So, but if you thought it was truly hopeless, would you want to look? Of course not. You would just want to fucking disassociate and try to ignore and get myself occupied by something like a line of Coke or something. Yes? And I would probably do it to the day I died because I wanted to avoid it at all costs. Yeah. Because I cannot imagine this person did that. Yeah. But you can imagine this person could do almost anything if it was driven by something. And we were in that state. I would have done almost anything, pretty much anything to you, unless you could have physically stopped me in a lot of cases. Yeah. Is that part of my nature? I don't believe so. Was I driven to that condition? I believe, yes, I was. Did I do the driving? I do not believe that. That is an understanding. I hope it helps. Yeah. Yes. So we have John of Florida got his hand up. Nice to see you, John.
Hey, Paul. Hey, everybody. You hear me all right?
Yes. Yes. I hear you clearly, John.
Good deal, buddy. Man, Paul, the simplicity of this message, you said it in the beginning that no one ever fucking told me that what was talking to me may not be me. You know who told me? Kurt Z, man. He's speaking in Burnsville, New Jersey, on via Zoom, and we were talking after the meeting, and that's exactly what he told me. John, what's talking to you isn't you. And it just fucking floored me, man. And from that moment on, and I got connected with you guys and what, your talks and everything. I was a recovered self, and I was fucking miserable, man. I've been sober over 3 fucking decades, man. For 27 years, I'd entertained blowing my brains out. I don't know how I never drank. I just kept doing inventories and meditate longer, and all the misunderstandings that, you're already in this. You are this. I believe we are the solution. We've entered the world of the spirit, and the biggest misunderstanding for me was I've never left the world of the spirit. To see that was incredible, man. And being identified as that which is playing God, identified as the mental state, because nobody ever fucking told me. So I've been telling everybody, man. The AA meetings, I chair meetings, and man, I just throw Zen bitch slap right up their ass, man. Because it, to me,
Must love you.
I don't have a lot of, it's like,
yeah.
There's a lot of people that it's landing on, though, man. The majority of the masses are like, oh man, that's not AA. But you know, when I go to the book and I explain it like you do, line for line, they don't have much to say, man. You know.
Yes, yes.
No, I just want to thank you, man. And thank Kurt, man. I mean, you guys really have saved my life, man. I go through each day to now just, you know, not having the misunderstanding that I'm disconnected today. You know, that was like the biggest misunderstanding, man, that I was disconnected. Fucking disconnected. How do I get back? And I'd use the head to try, like you said, to try to get back as a recovered self. And using that method, in a day or two, I'd be fucking miserable again. If it had
Yes.
the ability to maybe, you know, give you some relief, it also had the ability to fucking take it away too, man. You know, and yeah, I just want to thank you, bro. I love your talks and I love these meetings and yeah, this I wish somebody would have fucking told me back when I was coming in 1991, you know what I mean? That's what I tell the newcomers.
Late than never.
Yeah, the
Better
newcomers.
late than never.
That's right. That's right. You know, and it's like I'm trying to save you some time when I talk to the new people, you know, and
Yeah.
trying to
But
save you some time, you know,
you
and
have to be convinced. So
yeah. But I don't want to take up a bunch of time. I just that just landed hard, man. When you said it in the beginning, I'm like, whoa, man, that is it. That's how simple it is. You know, start telling fucking people. Tell them it may not be you.
yeah, well,
It's that simple.
oh yeah.
They'll tell you to fuck off, but hey, it's all right.
Well,
Not all of them.
what you are speaks louder than what you say, so it's good.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll
Yeah.
say it.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. Thank you. No, thank you, John. I feel that happiness in you every time I see you on the Zoom. That's great.
Awesome, buddy.
That's what would one brother, sister to a sister, one brother to a brother do? You know, fucking let's share some lightness of traveling. I mean, literally, if your understandings are like they're a rung in a ladder, really. Yeah. If you can just grasp an understanding, it gives you a lot of explanation and then relief fills. Yeah. And then another rung, and then just all you got to do. And something's lifting you up from your ass anyway. It looks like you're grabbing the rung, but something is doing it. The engine is something. And understanding has been very, very helpful to me in this life. I remember the first 6 months in AA. I mean, I sing the praises of Joe and Charlie just because of what actually they participated in this to be brought about. There was so many people at this seminar and they were super enthusiastic about recovery, and there was like, and when they explained the fourth step, I saw my role in things. I saw the fourth column. It got illuminated, which was necessary because I was doing it without that connection. It was dry. I wasn't seeing my role. But when I did, by their explaining it, I got it. Man, that was one of the main, there's been some main turning points in this recovery, and that was one of the first big ones. Yeah. That was like another wave in recovery, big one, to see my role in things. And then from there, if I don't look at my role in things, how am I going to see self's role in things? Yeah. Because they're synonymous in a lot of cases. So I had to see my role in things. And for a while, it stayed as my role in things, but it was inevitable that it was going to leak out, that what I'm seeing is self's role in quote unquote my things. Yeah. And then I lost interest because I'd done the amends. I did all that. I lost interest in improving Paul, and I started looking at this foreign installment, and lots of understandings came from that. And then my little seat assignment is not to leave that point, just to keep presenting that point. Yeah. Obviously, that seems to be the seat assignment. So And yeah, and there's a joy when it's working. Self is the addiction. Self is the drug. Yeah. That the mind, that head, not mind, the mental process is addicted to. We are living from an addictive state. Yeah, that's why we're so prone to addiction. Some people go to there's things that they treat those addictions, but there's a lot of untreated addictions in this life. Yes, people's drive for tons of stuff. Yes, a lot of it. But really, all of the activity is caused by the agitation of the head, addicted to this idea of being the doer, the thinker, the feeler. And this is the difficulty of getting this understanding through, is it is so important for the self-centered system to be the doer. Its whole story is about you being the doer of what it does. Yeah. What it drives us to do, it needs you to believe you're the doer of. Essential. That's why it's so difficult for it to get through, because there's a large defense from the parasite not to get that message. Yeah. It knows it's doing through you what you would not do for yourself. You don't. That's the dilemma. It's very clear that it is not you. It's very clear. It's extremely clear. Yes. It doesn't want you to be clear about that, but it's clear. Yes. That's why it saves its ass before your ass. Well, and whatever, as long as people are sober and getting relief and causing less harm, whatever, I'm happy. I just, it wasn't enough to me personally to be able to not flip out at a picnic, or to play the softball league, because first of all, I have a bad leg. Yeah, it was just other people found their peace and their relaxation, just adapting to life better. That wasn't this seat assignment. Yeah, it wasn't working for me. I felt like something was fucking me, and I just at least wanted to know it. I really did. I had a very bug up my butt and other things to check that out. I really do. I am very curious of how, if I'm me, you would think I would look out for my best interests. But my looking out for my best interest brings the worst fucking results. It's very, so these were always confusing. I thought things were one way, but they were obviously not working. Yeah, and that caused a lot of curiosity as soon as I got sober. As soon as I left the battlefield of day-to-day, survival. Yeah, yeah. So, and thank you for all of us for allowing us to have this platform, Martin and everyone who shows up every week. And yeah, it's a lifeblood for me, because most of the day I'm speaking just on other things. Yeah, like pasta, salt, and shit like that. Yeah, yeah. All right. Thank you.
Rico Cruz is also here.
Hey?
Rico?
Oh, Rico. Yes, Mr. Cruz.
Hey, Ms. Boatman, thank you. I see you know how to roll the R. I appreciate that. Rico, I like that. Good evening, family, friends. Welcome, newcomers. Glad to be here with you. I send you love and light from my heart to yours. This wonderful platform. And thank you for your service, Ms. Boatman and Paul. My brother John there from Florida, he reminded me of me. I've been around here for a couple of summers and sponsored a lot of men, still do. Speak all over the place, do all kinds of stuff, BF service, all that other stuff. And when I first came in, like you, John, after hanging out with Paul for a year, in my self-reflection, I've thought about in contemplation. Probably some people tried to tell me about this, but I couldn't hear. I couldn't hear until I first started hearing when I was in COVID and I had to stay in the house 3 years because I had a compromised immune system and I wouldn't go out. And I started spending a whole lot of time with me, a lot of time in quiet, a lot of time in silence and going inside. And when I came out, I started seeking people from like Paul. Hadn't met him yet, but I started knocking on those kind of doors. So I don't know if I wouldn't have heard anybody. If I would have met Paul when I came in, I wouldn't have heard him because he wasn't talking about the big book like I was. He wasn't speaking all over the place. He wasn't doing this. I was trying to do what AA told me to do, but what they kept telling me is get out of self, get out of self. Like I had the power to get out of self. I still don't have the power to get out of self. So I wouldn't have heard it. I would have missed it. So whenever you heard it, like I heard it recently, that's when I was supposed to hear it because I became open. And now I'm open to let whatever is be what it is, whether I like it or not. I don't need to contest it. So when you shared, it just took me back to remember I would have never heard it. I couldn't hear it. All I heard was that 12-step message. That's all it is. And if you wasn't in there, you wasn't in my life. And I was going like 9,000, running all over, sponsoring people, doing this. And none of it. I mean, some of it opened up some doors, but they opened up the door to just another self, which is just as dangerous as Rico Cruz Anonymous. And there's no fellowship like that. And that's what I was in. When I finally got to sit down and be quiet and be still, something else started talking to me. And from your share, it sounded like the same thing happened to you. So you might have come in 91. I came in before that, but a lot of people might have tried to tell you that along the way. You couldn't hear it. The message was get sober, just get sober, just get sober. Nobody told me about the stuff that existed out here. So I wanted to thank you for that reminder. It was a nice trip down memory lane. I appreciate you, man. And everybody have a beautiful day unless you have other plans. Thank you.
Thank you, Rico. I can never roll the R. I don't know. New Yorkers, that wasn't presented. Yeah. Amelia kills me. She's Italian. A lot of rolling of R's. No idea how that happens. But hey, thank you. I'm going to start saying goodbye, right? It's okay. Martin, nice. Thank you so much. Martin is the guiding of the website and everything. And yeah, it's quite nice to have it working. John, Florida. Yes. Can feel your enthusiasm. Quite nice. Kathleen. Yeah, always. Joseph. Nice to see you, Joseph. It's been nice to meet Joseph and other people that I probably would never meet. Joseph is in France somewhere, so it's wonderful. I give thanks to this technology of Zoom. You know how everything can be used one way or the other. Yes, a tool can be a killing thing or a building thing. See, this is the point. There's always a two-sidedness, and we've lived on one side of that coin. It's nice to have the other side of the coin up, yeah? And I don't want to gamble anymore with throwing the coins. I want that one coin up. I want it to be heads, so to speak, yes? Yeah, and that to me is the habit of being sober. Yeah, the habit of being sober. You're not gambling anymore. You're not throwing it up for to see what surprise is available. Yeah. There was a guy I used to know I liked. He used to say, people are addicted to the boredom that looks exciting. And then I'm into the excitement that looks boring. I think it's very exciting to enjoy peace of mind. I do. It's better than running a marathon. Shit. It's incredible, literally. Can you imagine that peace is available? It's incredible, really incredible. And you're available to peace. That's incredible. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we got Brian. Yes. Miss Folkman, thank you. Thank you so much for running the show. We got Betty in Nevada. Nice to see Betty. Axel, our man in Germany. Mr. Zimmerman. Yeah. Always a pleasure, Kurt. We got Ben. Nice to see Ben. Rick in Toronto, as always. Stephen Mack. We got Walter, our man in the Netherlands. We got Jay up in Canada. Greg in Minneapolis, Minnesota somewhere. Minneapolis.
Minneapolis. Thanks, Paul.
You're welcome, man. If you see Christian, say hello to him for me.
Yeah, I see him once a week. Yeah.
Oh, good. Oh,
I
good.
shared pictures from one of your talks of your little figures, your action figures.
Oh,
He got
yeah.
a real kick out of that. So
Oh, yeah, the action figures. Yeah.
yeah.
I have a few of them now. Different action poses.
Action pose. Yeah.
Um,
Thanks again.
nice little leather jacket. All right. Vlad, as always. Nice to see you, Vlad, my main man. Nice, yes. We got Oliver, always a pleasure in Berlin. I can't see the others, and thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. And remember that tradition, a loving, you want to call it God, is expressing itself in our group conscience. What is that but satsang, eh? It's pretty cool. Thank you. See you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Paul.
Well,
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Ms. Bachman.